This is the Energy Committee for February 14th, calling the meeting to order. Our first order of business, we need to find somebody who is willing to fill out the form on our Google Docs. Is anyone willing to do that? I see Robbie. Robbie just disappeared when I said it. I don't know whether he's trying to tell me something or not.
Are you talking about the meeting notes?
Yes, that's right. Can you see those in the Google Drive?
Yeah, I can take notes.
Would you? That would be great.
Yeah, I
think
someone else is in there. Yeah, I can. I have it open, so I don't mind taking notes.
Great, and we usually.
I was going to ask you too. Sorry, I was going to ask you as well.
Yep.
Are there positions in the committee, like treasury, secretary?
The only thing we have other than chair, we have a vice chair who is Dwight.
Okay. So there's no one like that's the secretary or the treasurer?
No. Okay. We just volunteer for it. So what we normally do is we put we change the time that's on there to the actual time. So call meeting to order, we would say at 5:35. And then we would note who we actually got here. And when we go down to these various items, we would change that time. And the only thing we really need to record are any motions and votes. And we normally record if anybody has taken on an assignment.
Okay.
And that's kind of.
So we're not. Are we recording the time?
Right. The time for anything that has a time there, we usually correct the time, to what it actually was when we took up that item. So other than that, we don't worry about times. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Got it.
So, and we note that you are the one who's taken that note taker equals Lori Domain, or LD. We usually use just initials for most of the stuff. So then next item would be any adjustments to the agenda. Does anybody have anything for that? I know Lori said she was interested in talking a little bit about our process for inviting people to this. We can maybe take that up under committee operations. There were a couple of things that have come up for me, and I think we kind of have places maybe under committee operations to deal with some of it. I attended the energy roundtable that RPC put on, and they were thinking about some changes of the name for the committee and also some duties associated with it. I think we can maybe take a quick look at that. And the other thing is some questions about joining in with Jericho and, maybe having a joint meeting for some of that. So we have a JETF item further down the agenda, so we can always go with that should we want. So if we haven't got any further adjustments, then we can leave it at that. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah, I didn't really understand the roundtable thing, but I'm sure we're
there was a roundtable, a conference, Zoom conference that the RPC had last night. Regional Planning Commission.
Okay.
CCRPC, Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission. Right, and they had that. I think it was either the night before last or last couple of days anyway. And they brought up Dwight also attended that one, so he can correct me if I go off the rails here at all. But I believe I sent that around to everyone, the link for that, but maybe I didn't. But in any case, we have that for. So they made some suggestions, and I wanted to mention them. I don't know
for what.
Their suggestions were to look at the name of the committee and also basically, more importantly, its functionality, its functions and mission.
So of the Energy Committee?
right, to take up more of a climate posture in that. So
Oh,
I
cool.
thought that, yeah, I thought that I would at least bring it up to the folks and see what's going on, and we can have a bit of a discussion about it.
Awesome.
So that said, we can go on. We've adjusted our agenda as much as we're going to. Since there is no public here that I see, I guess we can skip the public comment period and go right
Michael,
on to, yes,
who's caller one?
caller one
Oh,
is
that's me,
John.
John Boyson.
Oh, hey, John.
Right?
Michael, should I be writing down like who's at the meeting? Is there like an
We usually,
attendees list?
there's a list there. We usually take off anybody who isn't here
Where's
from that
is the
list.
list on the agenda or?
We're on the
Oh, I
minutes,
see
right,
numbers.
right underneath where
Okay.
you've been typing.
Yeah.
We usually take off anyone who was not here on that list. Now, sometimes people come a little bit later, so I usually wait until later to do that.
Okay.
But we can see how that all goes.
Yeah. Since I'm like really new, is there a
Right.
way we can do like roll call or just like an introductory period? I've only had like a couple meetings with everyone, so
Sure, we can
do
go
a
around.
okay.
I think you know who I am. I'm Michael Oman, and I currently chair the committee. Why don't we go next on my screen is caller one, John, who is looking kind of C-shaped.
Hi. So I'm John Boyson. Mainly, I think, how long have I been on the committee? A couple of years now? 2, maybe 3 years.
Probably close to 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And so mostly what I've been doing on the committee is working with Dwight on the weatherization programs.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Robbie's up next on my screen.
Hey, Lori. Yeah, I've been on the committee for, same like John, I think 2, 3 years, something like that. And I am on the solar committee with Graham, Michael, and Steve. And I'm also leading our participation in the MERP program, which is the Municipal Energy Resilience Program. And that's been approved, so we will get our facilities audited and take some action based off that, off those audits. So,
And what is MERC? What's the name for that again?
Municipal Energy Resiliency Program.
Municipal energy. Okay. Yeah, I don't know much about that. Sorry, I'm so new.
Nobody does except Robbie.
Questions. Okay.
Yeah, and literally, Lori, it's all compartmentalized. So if you don't need to know about MERP until, I guess, it expands into a bigger thing. So no
Okay,
worries.
that's good to know. Thank you.
Graham, I see you're next on my screen.
Yeah. Chapik here, I guess, into my second year. Second year on the committee, and primarily work with the sort of the solar subcommittee.
Okay, Jerry, you're up next on my screen.
Well, I've been here forever, since the start, probably 10 or 15 years, I don't know. And I primarily am interested in the weatherization program with Dwight, John.
And he's a loyal. He shows up at all of our activities, like the farmers market and everything so far. So Jerry is not technically a member. He is a member emeritus, so he's not a voting person, but he's been interested and has a lot to contribute. And we may be talking about Steve isn't here, so we can take his name in vain. I know Steve has been looking to step back a little bit. Jerry has been expressed some interest in maybe stepping up, so we'll see. He may become a member again. And last but not least is Dwight on my screen.
Hi, I'm Dwight Coster. I've been on since pre-COVID, so I think it's about 6 years now. I'm also the weatherization director for CVO's low-income weatherization program. And so I run as previously mentioned by several members, I do the weatherization we call it the pre-audit program. So where we visit Underhillians' homes and help them get started on the process towards more efficient and safe houses.
Okay, Lori, do you want to introduce yourself too, since we're going around once again?
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Lori Domain. I just moved to Underhill last May. I have some experience working in electric vehicle and e-bike programs, but my main focus, I think now, is more community agriculture and community sustainable power sources as well. Yeah, so that's basically, I talked to Michael the other day, and I think there's a lot of intersection, and what I'm thinking that kind of parlays to what the round table discussion was as well for the committee. I founded a nonprofit in Marblehead, Massachusetts called Sustainable Marblehead, where they're doing lots of great stuff. But yeah, I'm here and I'm super excited to get involved. So please spell out your acronyms is really helpful for me as well. And yeah, I'm super new to the area. I don't know much about it at all.
I even had to tell her what JCAT was. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've gone around, and that sounds good. I'm glad we could do that. I'm sorry Steve isn't here, but we kind of know who he is. So, public comment. We do not have any public. Our next order of business is to review and approve the minutes from January 23rd. They also have been posted to our Google Drive. I don't see any additional edits or anything that anyone has made. Comments. So do we have a motion to accept them, and we can discuss them and see if we want to see what we want to do with them?
Yeah, I move to accept the minutes from last meeting.
Okay, second.
Second.
I think that was John.
Dwight.
Okay, any discussion? Any corrections, discussion of the minutes from the last meeting? Wow, that's good. Hearing none. Why don't we take a vote on it? Anybody who wants to accept the minutes from the last meeting, say aye. I will say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. The minutes are accepted without change. So we can move on to the next thing, which is committee operations. Okay. I already have down on here the conflict of interest forms. I note that we do, according to Amanda, I think it was, said that we only need to assign a new form when we are re-upped. So I'm not sure who gets re-upped this time around, but whoever it is, it may be me and whoever else it is, will need to sign a new form. Others only need to sign the form once every 3 years, apparently. So we don't have to fiddle with that. So that said, let's see, what else do I have here? I see, I have the wrong outline open. Okay, so committee operations. So I did want to bring up under this our, kind of two things. One quick one, and that is at our next regularly scheduled meeting, we can address exactly what we want to do with it a little further down the line if we want, but I will not be able to come to attend our meeting, would normally occur on March 13th. So we will have at least a couple of options associated with that. We do have an able and very dedicated vice chair who could run the meeting for us. We could reschedule the meeting, or we could skip the meeting. So I guess I'm open to discussion on this.
I certainly do not mind running the meeting if that's the case.
I'm up for having a meeting. This is John.
At the regularly scheduled time?
Sure. I don't know how everyone else.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. We're, pre-audit program starting to roll, and the MERP program is moving forward. Might as well just keep everybody up to date on what's happening.
Yep. Okay. I think the general consensus is to just go ahead and have the meeting, and Dwight will run it. Dwight, if you like, I'll work with you a little bit to try to, help get the meeting set up and help you pull the agenda together if you like.
Yep, that'd be great. Teach me that.
So yeah, I'm just have a conflict that evening, so I won't be able to be here. So I will put it in your able hands, and we'll go with it. That will be great. Thank you so much. The other thing I did want to bring up under committee operations, I guess, that I had not expected to cover, so I haven't allowed a lot of time for it, but the RPC, the Regional Planning Commission, brought up the idea of they suggested it as changing our name, but included within the name change, changing, kind of enhancing our function to include more climate in particular, and presumably sustainability and so on associated with it. Now, to a certain extent, I mean, I think we can and do that anyway. And I worry a little bit if we try to be too much of a bull in a china shop here about potentially stepping on toes. Planning Commission has been very active in doing this stuff. They're the commission that convened our climate task force here, and we did the climate action plan. So, but on the other hand, we already have dealing with climate in our mission as it is. So there's no reason we shouldn't do anything with that. So I just like to open it up for your discussion at this point.
So this is John again. I like the idea. If not for the reason that it might, by broadening the scope of the committee's work, I think it could definitely serve to increase the membership. As we get more and more people together, I feel like all those issues are linked, like you said. So I think it sounds like a great idea, and we can always work with the Planning Commission to make sure, not to have too much overlap if that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree, John. I think if we were to change the name to, what is it, Michael? Energy and Climate Committee?
Something like that. They weren't too specific about it, but that was the idea, adding climate to it. But whether it wants to get, for example, there's the whole sustainability side, resilience side. There are a variety of things, and how many things also do we want to try to jam into a name, as opposed to just review our mission statement. To make sure, for those of you who don't have it handy, it was included in my annual report this year, so we can go back and take a look at that. If people are interested in it, we can take it up maybe. Well, I wouldn't mind being part of it, so I can't. If we take it up next time, I won't be able to join in, but at least we should also consult with the select board. I mean, they formed us, so we are the Underhill Energy Committee, and so obviously we would need to work with them on doing this. I assume, but do not know, that regional planning, I'm pretty sure energy committees have an existence that's under state, either statute or certainly practice. So I don't know whether that would be affected. I assume, but do not know, that regional planning has at least taken notice of whatever that might involve. But if we're interested in pursuing it, I see no reason why we shouldn't. Like I said, we already kind of do that. And, I just want to make sure we don't go bigfooting a lot of other efforts in the process.
Yeah, I think if we broaden the title, it could broaden the membership, as John spoke to. But I also think if there's layers and hoops we need to jump through, maybe it's not worth the effort. But it certainly can't, from my perspective, I don't think it can hurt as we look for more and more volunteers to help our initiatives here.
Right. Well, strictly speaking, right now we have a full complement of membership since Lori has been approved. We are at full strength for the first time in a couple of years, I think. But Steve is looking to step back, so that's been also on our plate for a while. But I'm really glad. Yes.
What's the issue with changing the name? Like, whose toes would we be stepping on?
Well, basically,
We have a
the planning
problem.
commission. The planning commission has done an awful lot of the sustainability stuff. Agriculture is often seen as a land use and semi-economic activity, and turns up in the plan in places other than the energy section that we have dealt with. It would take a certain amount of doing to kind of sort out our different responsibilities in this area. But
do they
yep.
have like a report, a plan, a yearly goal thing that we can read and see what it says?
There is the town plan.
So it's called the town plan?
The town plan, and also there is the climate action plan, which I'm not quite sure what the status is, but that addressed some agricultural issues as well. I know both of those have that sort of thing in it. But agriculture is only one of the things we would be looking at. Certainly, when we started the solar initiative, one of the things that Robbie looked into is agrivoltaics, and one of the things that I think we'll be including that in our discussions with landowners, and I think that we can do that without any changes. That fits within the purview of our solar activities without any modifications. So we want to figure out exactly what this means. I think too, maybe some energy committees have considered their role more narrowly than we have. We've just sort of figured, well, whatever needs doing, we do it.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, like, if we met with them and talked about it, like, are they doing a lot?
Well, I would say
substantial. Like, they might want us to help.
Right. I think it could be a worthwhile discussion to have.
What's that?
I think it might be a worthwhile discussion to have, and also loop at least conservation and the natural resources mapping people. We've got a committee that's doing natural resources mapping as well that we should loop into it. Rec committee maybe also. They do some, access to, the possibility of trails and wild areas access and that sort of thing. So
yeah.
But
so as a first step, can we have a meeting with the planning commission about this topic? Is that something we can schedule?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So who would be doing that?
Why don't I get in touch with them, since I've already worked with them on the climate action plan. I've been working with Sandy Wilmot, and I've been to a few of their meetings to present our work on some of these other things. So put me down in the thing to contact planning commission and see what would be involved in this and what kind of steps we might want to take.
Okay. And like, when do you think you do the by?
Oh, I would have it done in time to get back to the next meeting. I'll probably send it out in an email, but I will not be here to discuss it further at that meeting.
Okay, great.
Okay. So that said, what all have we done? Committee operations. Boy, that moved along. So program updates. We want to do some program updates. We got community solar and renewables. I'm on here, but Steve has been doing most of this. I think that you all are aware that he has scheduled 2 meetings at Deborah Rawson to discuss with landowners. And when our solar group met, we basically said we needed those 2 meetings, and he scheduled them on roughly that schedule. I believe he sent them around. Did I include the dates in here? I think, yes, I did include the presentation dates in here. One is on April 23rd and the other is on March 23rd. And we would be looking to generally, that MO is not me in this case, that's month. And so we would be planning those meetings. To go along with that, town meeting is basically upon us. And again, I was hoping
Can you
Steve
just back up
would
for
be
1
here.
second? Is that okay if we
Sure.
back up for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. If you can just bear with me for a second. So these meetings that are happening for the community solar, can we talk a little bit more about that? I'm curious.
We can, although I think it would be much better to have Steve here for that. He's kind of been running point on this.
Okay.
And I don't feel that I can speak to it nearly so well as he can. However, we do need some materials for a town meeting that, and again, I was hoping he would be here because I would like to put him on the spot a little bit. Some kind of introductory thing. I'm imagining some kind of handout material, and whether we should be putting together some kind of a display to go with our table at town meeting that talks about things like the weatherization program, the solar program that's coming up,
Yeah.
anything else we want to do. Right now, we kind of have nothing on that.
So I have this question. Is there a budget in this committee?
There is, and we just decided to spend it at a previous meeting. We, what are you looking for?
Oh, just to print materials or,
Oh, we can put material printed at town hall.
Okay.
They don't charge us for that. If you got something that you think we should get printed, we can do that. The one big problem would be if we want to get something done kind of display size, that will be a little harder. I don't know what the maximum size is that we can print. But it's the tables at the town meeting are usually pretty small and intimate. I can spend a certain amount of time on that, maybe pull together the solar group. But we've got both solar and weatherization that I think should be at least represented there. So those are 2 initiatives that seem to be fairly significant.
And I realize Steve, is that his name, is not here right today?
Yes.
I realize he's not here, but this is another thing that, I think we need to kind of think about the way we share information and making it more accessible. I know personally emails are just abundant for me. I don't think I'm probably alone in that feeling. But like having meeting invites where you send it to someone and they can accept it and it puts it on their calendar and has a link to a meeting. It's just so great now to have that, ability to do that. So we can kind of table this discussion later, but I think, we really kind of need to start thinking about having that process in place where we have all of this stuff. Everyone's pretty busy, and to keep up with these meetings and to be fully involved, I think we really need to have that extra, addition to the technology we have to use anyways. So, that's just a little comment I had about those meetings.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I confess I know absolutely nothing about this, and I would need somebody to hold my hand, and it would probably be something well worth learning. I got one for a meeting on Friday. I assume that I'm going to be going. I just It just came in an email and said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to this meeting on Friday. I'll do that." So
Well, like it'll come to an invite on your calendar and you can accept it, and then it goes in your calendar. It has a link. You click on it. It's so much easier. And like that's something we can kind of discuss with Steve as well, as like adding these to a Google Calendar that we have as well. Like we should have, and we can talk about this later, but like the website should have an updated calendar with all these meetings on it, with links.
that sounds fine to me. And like I said, I need handholding in this department. So anybody willing to tackle that?
Yeah, I mean,
Lori
I can
sounds
help. I can help. I mean, that's what I'm
okay.
here for.
Yep, great. And maybe throw in, maybe I'll volunteer Steve to join you. So maybe just put into
Okay.
the minutes that we're doing that.
Is there,
Steve and
is
you
there,
will.
can you set up a time outside of this to kind of talk about this stuff, or anyone else that wants to be involved with the organization?
Well,
Like you should
since
have
Steve is not,
so every
since Steve is
committee,
not here.
yeah.
What's
So
that?
So every head of the committee should be able to add events to the calendar. So if you have like multiple different heads of committees, they should all have access to a calendar that they can add events to. So if Steve's like the head of a committee,
So, Laurie, this is John. I think the way Steve set it up is that he made one Google account that we all have access to. So we're all owners, essentially.
okay.
I don't know if you probably don't have the password yet, but
Oh, she's on it right now.
well, oh yeah, but I mean, getting into say the Google Drive that where Steve has all the information. I'm not sure if you can send meeting invites from there.
No, I know. Like, I'm just saying, like, if he's setting up meetings, like, it should just be like, hey, if you're going to set up a meeting, like, set out an invite people. They can accept it. It can be on their calendar. We can put it then on, any kind of public notice, like that's really how you can really help involvement, as well as just making it like one click away,
Yep.
But we do have to be really careful around public notice and meeting law, because we meet sometimes. What is the rule, Michael? 3, and we don't
3 of
have
us can meet without doing anything.
so we just have to be real careful around that.
Right.
Yeah, and
We do have-
I don't really know much about that stuff, so we
Well,
can
that's
sign
pretty much
on
what
it
there is to
and
know about it. We need, if more than 3 of us get together, we need to warn it 48 hours in advance, and we need to have minutes for it.
well, that's what I'm saying though. If we put this stuff on calendars and we have links to our Google Drive with all the meetings, all of its public availability, you just have to get it up in time.
Right. Well, we'll
And
have to
everybody
figure out
has-
right. I have to send it to Amanda because we have to post it physically as well as electronically.
Okay,
So
and who's
that-
Amanda?
Amanda Bosley is our assessor, and she handles most of the meeting and minutes stuff at Town Hall.
Yeah. Would she give us access to the calendar so we could update it, or would she have to update it?
Are you thinking about the Underhill Town website calendar or
Yeah, I mean anything that we can link to that like
Right.
is like the source of truth, right? So we have a calendar that's our source of truth that has all our meetings on it. People can go to it. We can refer people to it, right? And then
Yep.
they can see it, and then they can go to it, and then they can click a button and join a meeting. That's what we need. We need easy access to the public.
Yeah, I'm thinking that should probably be the town website, my guess,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I'm not totally sure about that. And we'll have to see if there's any way we can do that. I will put me down for contacting Brad and or Amanda to see what's involved in doing that.
Sure. I mean,
Yep, good.
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now, we are going to need to pull together some materials for town meeting. I don't know, because we will not have another meeting in between now and then. So I guess we're going to have
meeting? Is it
first Tuesday in March.
Where's the agenda item for it though?
No,
Is it
but we've got a table,
okay? TM table.
right? A TM table.
Okay.
So we're going to be kind of visiting there. You volunteered to join us, so you'll be sitting there directing people. So what we're trying to have is some materials. I will contact Steve about getting stuff for the solar piece. Dwight, is there any way you can help us pull together some handouts, and B, potentially some kind of display materials for weatherization that we could put on a display board?
Yep. I'm going to try to make a smaller, more portable stand for the big red door.
Yeah.
We'll see what I'm going to have a prototype in mind that's much lighter and much easier to port. We don't need a truck to transport.
Well, that's an idea.
So we'll see if I can get that done. But I can bring low-income weatherization materials, and I'll have to create something for the pre-audit program.
Michael, I will volunteer myself to, I guess, herd the cats for town meeting day and make sure we got everything for our table. So
Sounds great.
Dwight, if you want to coordinate with me anything you're bringing, and I'll connect with Steve and make sure we have all our ducks in a row.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have enough materials for the low-income program, and I'll work on something for the pre-audit program.
Perfect, great.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, but I'm so new. I have no idea what you all are talking about.
So for town hall, we're going to have a table for the energy committee.
Yeah, so it's March 5th. What's the time of it?
All day.
All day.
All day. Okay, and
Yeah.
what's the location?
Town hall.
Town
No,
hall.
Browns River Middle School.
Oh, it's at Browns River. Okay.
Yeah.
Browns River. Oops. Browns
At least it's
River.
always been in the past.
Yeah, when it's a town in conjunction with town meeting and it's a major election, it's at the Browns River.
Close to the school. Right,
Okay.
right.
So
Yeah. Sometimes the election is at town hall.
If there's no town meeting, so if it's not on a town meeting, but because it's a presidential caucus year, then it will be in conjunction with town meeting.
okay, so and I'm so new to all this stuff. What's the red door?
It's part of the display. It's a
For
tool
what?
that we use. It's the blower door. It's part of the blower door kit.
A blower door. Okay. I have to see. I don't display. Okay.
I live, eat, and breathe the blower door, so.
What's that?
I said I live, eat, and breathe on the blower door, so I use the term in every sentence I speak, pretty much.
Awesome.
We also, Michael, we also need to come up with a schedule because Sherry has asked me to work the polling as well. So if we could figure out a schedule.
I'll put that on my to-do list, Dwight's schedule for hours and stuff, and I'll just connect with you, see when you're available.
Yeah, I just need to be able to tell Sherry when I'm available so that.
Okay.
I'm one of the few conservative ilk that she has on her list. So.
And Lori and I are also planning to be there for part of the time. So maybe put something up on the Google Drive, a little spreadsheet for sign up or something.
Well, if there's
times,
be there, Michael, if there are times when you can and you can't be there, then
I can be there anytime. I'm planning to get there and set up.
Okay.
So and Essie made us a sign that if it still works, it lights up, and she's going to patch it up a little bit and so on. And so we'll get the table set up and we'll get the displays going, and we can plan to, some of us be there some of the time and some of us be there some of the other time. It'd be nice to have a couple of people there for company and generally talk, but if we can't, we can't. That's fine. So.
This is John. I'll be there from 9 to usually around 12 or so I can help out with whatever.
Yeah, that's basically town meeting. Lori, town meeting typically ends by then. And now did anybody see Sherry's plea for, didn't remember whether there was not going to be anyone this year to do lunch, or whether that's for coming up for next year.
I did not see that.
Oh, I didn't see it. Are they not having the lunch?
Well, Sherry's thing seemed to indicate that the Historical Society was bowing out, and she put out a plea for somebody to pick it up and organize it, because otherwise we aren't going to have lunch.
Huh.
Well, the Lions may pick it up.
The what?
The Lions may do it.
Oh, the Lions. I thought you said the Alliance. The Alliance of what? Hey, that would be cool.
They're talking about it.
Okay. Well, that sounds great, Jerry. But I guess they better figure it out soon, huh? Anyway, we'll find out. Typically, it runs, I get there about 8. I guess Sherry said I could get there at 8 and start setting things up. So I'll plan to get there about 8 and get some things going, and then be there when I need to be and go into the meeting for some of that too. So
When does it end?
well, it ends when it ends. That's the thing about town meeting. They have typically in Underhill ended about noon, between 11 and noon. And then people go off and have some lunch and socialize and then go home. Jericho often runs later. I have not, since I've been here, I think, seen one run into the afternoon, but they can, and in many towns they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah, come and see what we do.
Yeah, super excited.
It's kind of a tradition. I kind of like it. So, okay, so we got that on the plate. Pull together some materials. Big red door. For all of that. EV event. I wanted to bring that up. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So the community solar, this is stuff we wanted to pull together to have for those materials, but we can't do too much on that. Let me go ahead and report on the town hall solar piece as well. And then maybe Dwight can just give us an update real quick on the weatherization. That is basically Seth is in charge of doing this. It has been determined that, Lori, this is about our ARPA funding for town hall solar installation.
Yeah.
Our committee
What
just,
agenda item is this, though?
I'm sorry?
What agenda item is this?
I'm still doing program updates. Town hall solar, the last item in that.
Program updates. Okay, gotcha. We jumped around a little.
Yeah, we jumped a little bit. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So for the last, basically, for ARPA, I have determined that we do have to have it obligated by December 31st of this year. Now, I'm pretty sure that all we need, since we've already allocated the funds via ARPA, all we need is a vote from the select board giving that a go. So I think that we can be on track for that, but we don't have until next year to get it allocated. We have until this year to get it allocated. Then we have to get it spent by December 31st of 2026. So that's the time schedule that we need. So I think that we can do it, but we can't really sit on our hands. We need to move that along. Now, that said, when we decided to put it on a structure in Moore Park, that came right up against or dovetailed with an activity that's already underway by the Moores and the town rec committee to put up a pavilion. The Moores want to finance a pavilion, and we have convinced them that it would be good to have a solar roof on the pavilion. So the pavilion would basically be the structural element for the solar, so that would have the sort of publicity and actual solar capacity stuff associated with it. So, however, Seth Friedman is in charge of that, and I have not been able to raise. I'm sorry?
Who's Seth Friedman?
He's on the rec committee. He's been fairly active on the rec committee. He was a select board member for a while. He lives right down the road from me here on Pleasant Valley.
Okay.
And so he has been in charge of that, and I have not been able to raise him by email. I've tried multiple times, so I'm going to have to involve Brad or something like that. It's my understanding that things haven't been done a lot of moving, but they're going to need to start moving fairly soon in order for things to happen. So I'm going to have to
Yeah.
see if I can rattle a few cages.
Can I ask a question? Is this design finalized?
No, it is not. It's my
Okay.
understanding. But
So,
since I haven't been able to get in touch with Seth, my understanding may not be very accurate.
okay. Yeah, I'm just curious because I
Now,
haven't
when we were,
seen design. It's
yeah,
not, or like what the funding could be available for. But I know, and this is just like off the cuff kind of stuff. There's no composting in this town, and I'm wondering if maybe we could use compost materials also as well in a combination with solar panels to create renewable energy resources, or if it's just specifically set aside for solar panels.
this is set aside for solar.
Okay.
It was
Specifically just
a
solar.
specific ARPA application for a solar installation. And so the
Okay.
question has been citing that installation and getting it worked in. I think that it could be well worthwhile to talk about other alternatives, but
Yeah.
within this context, no. Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
That would be fine, especially in our new fancy committee.
Okay.
So we'll find out what's going on with that, and we do have those dates that we need to adhere to. So that's
Okay.
just kind of reporting out. Dwight, could you give us just a quick? I know you've done one additional um, uh, weatherization study for us, pre-audit, and Lori, this would be the item immediately above the town hall solar one.
Yep. So we did one more. We originally, as you saw in my notes, I think we originally had 4 set up that weekend, and 3 dropped out within the last 2 days. So I'm taking a much slower process. We'll do 1 or 2 this month. I've got a couple of emails out. I was waiting on a scheduling date for my own family needs before I put that out. But we did, I think you all read, I sent out the report. I got no comments back. I sent it to the homeowners and have not received anything in return. But there was a lot going on in that house. As John and Jerry attended. We were dealing with 3 boxers while we were doing the work. There was a lot of self-inflicted electrical use, which I don't think they're going to be able to lower much. There was some heating stuff. There was a lot of thermal energy boundaries stuff to fix, and they had quite a aggressive construction schedule that they were looking at, but they were looking at solar, so I told them that we could help them with that and link them up with some contractors and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of energy to be saved in that house, and hopefully we'll be doing a couple more in this month. So that's the goal, is 2 or 3 a month.
Yeah, thanks. I was just looking for benchmarks and like if there's certain numbers you're trying to meet for that.
We don't know what the benchmarks are yet because it's just barely starting to roll a little bit. So
You're thinking like 2 to 3 households a month?
Safely 2 would probably be a good number. It's taking me longer to write the reports than I initially thought it would. So
In fairness, Dwight, I think you're writing much more comprehensive reports than I thought you were going to be writing, but I think that people can be very grateful for what you're giving them.
Yeah, that's why I was a little. I don't know. It seems like John and Jerry can attest. We had a great meeting, and they were eager to get it, and then crickets. So um, we'll see what happens. But I think with the current list that we have, I did have to set some boundaries with one individual. I did not hear back from him after I told him I could not meet when they wanted to meet, which was weekdays during their child's nap. I was like, no, I can't do that. I do this as a volunteer, and these are when I can do it. So, and I have not heard back from them. So maybe they dropped off the list. I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
Yep. Some of the people on the list are looking at very specific things they want help with. Like, I have a big icicle. I have a big icicle that forms in this valley at this time with these weather conditions. What do I do? That sort of thing. But we'll get them all done.
Okay. Thanks, Dwight. Any questions or comments? Okay. Now, having already jumped out of the way, I guess we can move on to the education and outreach activities item. We already started with the town hall table. I think we're reasonably done with that. And Robbie's going to be honchoing, pulling this together for us. And Robbie, thank you a million times for taking that on. That's great. I'll try to pull together a few items, but we'll see what we got. And see what we can come up with. After that, we've got the EV event, or the event as the case may be. We've agreed we want to do this again. We have talked about trying to parlay it into a larger energy event. And at one point we were talking about trying to do some kind of energy fair, seeing if we could do anything with that. So on. Dwight, you had expressed some interest in finding out about other places that are doing it, and maybe we could make a trip to somewhere and see what other people do and see if we can learn anything and pull something together.
I reached out to South Burlington, and they are, as I was told, they're kind of slow rolling their prep this time. So I will be involved. I will attend in some of their meetings and see how their planning goes and learn some stuff from them as well.
Great. Any other comments or thoughts? I know that, basically our EV event has been pretty successful, and I think building on that is a very useful thing to do. Okay. Jericho Farmers Market, the next item on the thing. Robbie, you had said, I think, that you were going to be looking into the canopy and table. No rush on that. It doesn't even open until May, and pretty sure we aren't going to be trying to get to that first one.
Yeah, so I didn't think there was any urgency there, so I've kind of put that on the back burner, but I will have an update for our next meeting.
Sounds great. And the schedule, it opens May 30th. I've contacted Elizabeth, but I have not heard back. Elizabeth King, Lori, is the manager of the Jericho Farmers Market.
Okay.
And deals with giving us the community slot that we use. We can have up to one slot a month. I was thinking about, show up 3, maybe 4 times over the course of the summer, kind of June, July, August, and September kind of thing. And we can decide whether we want to try to go for something like the second Thursday or something like that. I do have some Thursday conflicts, but then again, we have 7 people on the committee now, and so we can do stuff. I would like to do a little bit more toward the end. It got to be sort of Jerry and me sitting around and being a presence, and we had a little solar fountain, and Jerry always brought some wonderful gizmos that people wanted to look at and didn't quite figure it out. But do something a little more formal with it to engage folks. So if people can think a little bit about what we might do with that. Don't think we need to do anything at this particular meeting, but I'd like to put out there that I'd like to think about doing something a little bit more. Don't know if anybody has any further thoughts or anything on our participation.
I was just wondering if we could just circle back to the Jericho Farmers Market.
That's what we're talking about right now.
Awesome. So I was wondering if there are any plans to have like a handout that kind of covers what the Energy Committee or whatever the name is going to be with our initiatives or our goals and like what we're kind of trying to accomplish and all that we can hand people like a handout.
In the past, we have had handouts that included um, something specifically on the Energy Committee and a sign-up sheet if people wanted to get involved with either the Energy Committee or the pre-audit program. We've also had handouts, specific sort of technical handouts on EVs, weatherization, heat pumps, a couple of
Yeah.
different weatherization ones. And solar, I think those are the main handouts that we have had. I have about 5 or 6 handouts. I need to get a little bit better way of actually handling those handouts. Just having them sort of sitting there with rocks on them has not been terribly effective.
Yeah. So
Even
what I'm
the
kind of thinking is like one handout that has everything on it.
yeah, would you be interested in taking a shot at thinking what should
Yeah.
be on that handout?
If you can give me, like everything we're kind of looking for and trying to do and looking at, and putting it on one thing, and like, how can you get involved? Like, what interests you? I think would be really good. I think it's just better
Yep.
when information is kind of concise for people and they can just look at one thing.
I think that's good. It would be useful, I think, if you and I could touch base at some point. I could show you what we have.
Okay. Yeah. If we could
And we could,
schedule that meeting too, that would be great.
yeah. So yeah, why don't you and I try to do that on the side, and I could show
Yeah.
you what we have and see if you have any thoughts about how we might manage that a little better. So far, I've just been showing up with big sheafs of things,
Yeah. I hear
and
you.
I don't think that's worked very well. We've got a lot of information, but actually getting it to people has not been terribly effective. So I would very much be interested in.
Well, one of the ideas that I saw at one of the other, I do a farmer's market in the one in Irish Farm in Williston. Is that in Williston?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Every year I do it once or twice, and it's Williston. The Williston Energy
Isham
Committee
Farm,
that I
right?
do it with, or in partnership with for the weatherization, they have a big chart. And on the big chart they had QR codes that like if you're interested in a wash, what's the washer dryer rebate, or what's the current rebate for this, or you want to talk about electric lawnmowers, what is it, Mo Vermont, or it's just a QR code. So we're not handing out paper, and everybody has a smartphone and they can hit the QR code and it takes them to whatever they want, and we don't have to worry about managing a bunch of paper, so to speak, at all these, and it's cleaner and it's easier. I don't know what people think about that idea. QR codes, I learned that it's pretty easy to make a QR code for a website.
What about those of us
Right.
without cell
Well, John, you and I can continue to discuss this.
Just bring your club when you ride in on your Brontosaurus, John, and we can put you up there.
I'm at a rotary dial now.
So there's if you don't know, this goes. John and I go way back to college, and this is a huge point of contention, or not contention, but discussion amongst our friend group for the last 20-something years. John is the only one without a cell phone.
Evolve or die. That's what I
guess maybe that's it.
It's humanity. We either have to evolve or we're going to die. That's what it's all. This is what it's all about.
Yeah. I have a suggestion, John. I can have a little. We can have one sheet of paper with a thing that you can write your name on and what you're interested in, and we can get you the sheet of paper for it.
Ah, you can do that. I actually did that for a Department of Energy program I did. We had a questionnaire. You figure out like what your pain points were for charging. And then considering what they were, you would have a fact sheet that would then come out. You would take a questionnaire, you would answer it, and then depending on your answers, you would be sent the corresponding fact sheet that would then be linked to the solutions.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's do it. I don't know what you just said, but it sounds great.
No, it's a questionnaire you fill out, and depending on your answers, you
Right.
would then be sent a solution set, a fact sheet to solve those problems, those pain points, you know.
Yeah,
But I
I think we ought to talk about that. Should we have a little farmers market subgroup here with Lori, and I'm willing to participate, and Dwight, and
I mean, I think
that would
it's
be
good to kind of like have a questionnaire of the town as well, and kind of like get, you know, like what are your concerns, like what are you interested in, and then kind of direct people that way. But
yep.
you know, this stuff all takes a lot of time,
Yes,
you know, a lot of
I'm thinking
resources.
about that.
Didn't we already do that with a questionnaire, Robbie, last year?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so Lori, we did an online survey last year on Front Porch Forum was the way we messaged it, and we got about 100 responses, I believe. That was the total
That's
number,
not bad.
maybe
Pretty good.
a little
That's
bit
not
less than
bad.
that, something like
Yeah.
that. Nothing really too substantive, to be honest with you, but I think it just showed us that people are interested in the electrification of things,
Sure.
and we're just trying to keep our finger on the pulse of that.
Of course. Yeah.
Now, Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we say we were going to repeat that roughly once a year?
I think we were, yeah.
So when would it happen again then, if you're going to repeat it?
Oh, I think we did
What's
that. I don't even remember when we did it. That's a good question, but yeah, we
yeah.
could, let's put that on our agenda or our docket for the year or something to
Yeah.
do another
Well,
online survey.
September's a good time to do that sort of thing, I think,
Sure.
because that's, people are looking at going into heating season and stuff, and thinking about, the summer's over, and hanging up the surfboards and bathing trunks, and moving back inside. So I think that would be a good time to get people thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know as far as like how much fuel costs are compared to like a renewable resource, and like what that kind of like the percentage of renewables or people that have photovoltaic, you know, in Underhill. But that's something I'm sure you guys know a lot more about this stuff than I do. But I'm sure that's something that can be looked at if people are curious, like how can we have like more sustainable renewable energies? And like Michael, like you were talking about with me the other day about microgrids and stuff like that as well. I don't know if Underhill's ever looked at, you know, potentially
Underhill has not.
having a microgrid, or even just like a place where people can go that's storm safe and resilient, to power outages, something like that as well. If people are thinking about this stuff, I know personally, I was not here. I was in New Hampshire, but I guess we lost power where I live for 4+ days, and then I think for another couple days. And for me personally, when I lose power, I don't have heat either, as well. So it's a little dicey. I mean, I live on a dirt road on a really steep driveway. I woke up this morning to 4 inches of snow. I don't know if anyone else did, but I feel like I'm in the snow belt where I am. It snows all the time.
Yeah, so response to that, Lori, I believe the town, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, I think town hall and town garage are going to be, or intended to be, shelter in place sites, correct?
I
Okay,
don't
that's
I don't know so much about the town garage. I know both the town hall and town garage are getting generators.
So how are these
Um,
generators going to be?
Yeah, we signed up for next spring.
Is it diesel or?
I don't know. Jerry knows about this.
They're
Propane, I believe.
propane.
Propane. So I also worked in the combined heat and power program as well for the Department of Energy, which are very interesting machines. You know, they give off electricity and they give off steam as well, and they're way more efficient. Um, so that's also something we can talk about if.
I don't know if we have a lot of application for combined cycle type of things here, but I think it'd be something. I think we have talked in the past about possibly getting presentations in on various topics, and it seems like something like that might be a useful thing to think about.
Mhm. I'm just
The,
thinking
the,
like, if we wanted to go off grid as Underhill, what would that take?
right.
If all of us go
Yeah,
off grid,
got a
I know
long way to go.
big, big, big schemes, but
Right. That got a long way to go. I am a big believer in possible distributed microgrids, but
yes,
it doesn't really. I mean, it's not a common thing. I mean, it doesn't even exist right now, as far as I know. A
but it
true
can though.
distributed microgrid. I don't see any reason why it would not, couldn't
Yeah.
possibly, but I think it has a long way to go. But again, it would be interesting. I mean, I could easily imagine presentations on combined cycle and microgrids and
So why don't
um,
we present a series on that for the town and talk about that stuff?
any interest?
I think, Lori, the biggest challenge we face as a volunteer group is time.
Of course.
I love all the ideas. I just don't know how. I mean, we're so spread thin as it is. I think Steve has mentioned this in the past as well. That's why we established the subcommittees and focused on two tasks, because that's
Uh-huh.
basically all we have the bandwidth for at the moment.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's funding out there that we can get to potentially hire someone. You know, there's a lot of climate resilience funding from the federal government. I mean, have we tried to get any of that funding at all? Um, you know, I know everyone's a volunteer group, but you know, I think there are probably resources that we're not tapping into that we could definitely tap into.
I think you're absolutely correct on that much. So that said, I'd like to um, I'd like to put a pin in that because I think that's something we can come back to. Does that sound like a reasonable plan? And incorporate it, maybe fold into. I do want to have a very brief discussion about the Jericho Energy Task Force. It seems to me that we should be able to gain a certain amount of synergy and additional resource and that sort of thing by, again, sort of combining our efforts to a certain extent. And I don't quite know how this might work. And one of the things that I wondered about, and when Laurie and I were chatting, we talked a little bit about it. Does it make any sense? And Jerry, I think you may have had some experience with this, although I don't know. Again, things may have changed, but does it make any sense to see if Jericho would like to have a joint meeting with us, their energy task force, and us, just to talk about commonalities and places we might combine our efforts and where we might piggyback on their efforts and they might piggyback on our efforts and get some synergy out of it? We could even conceivably at some point try to pull in. There's that new group in Jericho. I don't even know what they call themselves. Peter Ehrlich has tried to do something with it. I know Jeff Forward over in Richmond has been extremely active and done a lot of very interesting things over there. So at some point we may even want to be a little bit larger. But if we can, be like, to do some of these things is not a lot more effort to do it for, like putting on a presentation, a lecture series or something like that is no harder to do inviting two towns than inviting one town. And, we've got two energy committees worth of people to throw in on working on it or that sort of thing. I'm planning, don't know quite what it is yet, but I guess Jericho is running a film on the 29th, some kind of environmental film at the Deborah Rawson Library. I'm probably going to try to go to that. But in any case, it seems to me that there might be some, I kind of hate the term because it's so business woo-woo or something, but there might be some synergies involved available for us to work together, and it might be worthwhile getting together to see if we can identify any of those. So I'll throw it open for consideration.
Michael, do you have a sense, do you have a sense going into this whether there are overlaps, synergies that exist? I don't know how much you've interacted with the Jericho group already.
There are certainly some. I've actually interacted a moderate amount, and in fact, we kind of semi-jointly did the farmers market thing for the past couple of years. We were using their equipment, for example, their pavilion, their canopy thing, and their table, and some of their materials and that sort of thing. The most successful farmers market event that we had was one that they pulled in a lot of the electric lawnmower people, and people came to see the electric riding lawnmowers and so on. So I know that there are opportunities there. I've worked a lot with Catherine. Catherine McMains chairs that, Lori. She's also chair of the Jericho Select Board, and I interact with her a fair amount. I was thinking if where there is some interest in seeing about this, I would contact her and see what possibility there is there.
I mean, could I maybe just suggest it could be more efficient rather than having one large meeting where people start throwing out ideas, if maybe you and Kathy met, and I'm not putting this on you, or maybe I am, I don't know, but it seems to me to be more efficient to have just a few people from the committees meet to just see what these overlaps are, and then to bring them back to the various committees for discussion. I don't know, just throwing that out. Because I don't really have a sense of what kind of things we would be talking about.
I'd be glad to do that.
Yeah.
Well, why don't
I'm sorry? Meeting? Is that okay?
I'm sorry, Lori?
Can you invite me to that meeting as well? Is that okay?
Absolutely. I was going to ask if we would have another volunteer.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. Why don't you put your name on the list too, and I will talk with Catherine, and we can see about getting a meeting with her about possibilities of overlaps between the two committees' activities. We can bring it back to ours. They could take it to theirs, and see if we need or want to get together to talk about it. Sound like an approach? Good. We'll do it. Sorry, Steve isn't here. He's always the one who's saying, "Watch out! Watch out! You're trying to do." He's the one who's kind of keeping me sane. But nonetheless, I think we've got a few folks here and here along those lines. So that said, we'll follow up on it. So can we move on to the next thing, which would be member items and new business? Lori's got some stuff in here already, so I'd love to hear about this.
Thanks. I'm going to put on my video 1 second. I think this is where I'm supposed to talk about reaching out to the schools and seeing what they're potentially doing to see if we can combine their efforts with ours to do like an energy fest or something like that. The previous nonprofit I worked for had a lot of success getting the schools involved. But I personally don't have any connection with the schools. So I wanted to kind of reach out to the board to see, or the committee, to see if, anyone knew if there was an environmental club or anything like that happening with the high
Any
school.
specific contacts?
Yeah, I guess it's like Mount Mansfield High School, or even, the grade school at all.
I don't know about the schools specifically, Lori, but I do know there's the VEEP, Vermont Energy Education Program. And Michael and I have tried to connect with them in the past, and I don't know, Michael, how that ever landed, but I think we just didn't have the time to pursue it.
I think that
But
was part of it, right?
yeah, but I think there's good people there that might be able to connect the dots for you.
So what's VEEP?
VEEP is the Vermont Energy Education Program.
Is that like a state funded program?
I believe it is a state-funded program, yes.
Okay, education. Okay.
So you
So,
had a contact there. Do you remember who that was?
Let me see if I can pull that up while we're talking here. Go ahead, Laura, you had a question?
well, yeah, so we just kind of came up with, I was like thinking about, just kind of getting, I think, what the community really needs to do, especially if we're going through a rebranding as well, we can kind of use this as like a jumping off point. But um, what I was thinking is we could have a contest to have someone like, so it more, I was thinking more like Earth Day, but we probably couldn't do it by Earth Day because Earth Day's soon. But maybe we could do it next Earth Day. But having a contest for the students to design a logo or, a T-shirt. But what it would be, it would be the banners that are hung up in Underhill, and I believe Michael has a connection to the person that does those banners. But yeah, that was like one idea, is like have a contest, get the students involved. When you get the students involved, the parents get involved, uh, and just have more involvement overall. But yeah, that was the one idea. And like, I'm sure Michael can like kind of smooth it out for you a little what we were talking
I
about.
think she's
But
doing great. I don't know. I'm gonna leave this alone.
Katie White is the contact we spoke with at VEEP. And I
Katie
can
White?
send you her contact information, Lori.
Okay. But yeah, what does everyone think about that? Because it seems like we need to have more exposure, and something like that would give us exposure. Especially if it's on the banners that we drive by. I don't know. Is there anything else in town that like people see a lot, or there's a lot of exposure to?
You mean just for advertising in that sort of sense?
Or like what the students do, or or events, or yeah, anything. We need to like try to get the name out more.
Engagement.
Engagement, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
I
think
said market penetration, but yes, engagement as well.
Harvest
Same time.
Market's the big one, Lori. That's
We
the
are
big
the market. What?
Harvest Market is the big town event that gets the biggest exposure.
When I went to it and I did not see an opportunity really. I don't really know, because it's a church event, right?
Well, it's kind of grown beyond that, but
Yeah.
it's sponsored by the church.
But like, yeah, like we need something more focused on energy, resources, food production, and if we broaden the scope or the mission statement or objectives or whatever, it would fall under that. Unlike, I don't know, the students having community, and this is another thing we were talking about too, is getting community gardens started, getting the students involved with that. The more people that think about these things, start making other decisions that affect other decisions that are more sustainable, it's domino effect, all of it. So, thoughts?
I don't. I think if we want to generate something like that, we have to generate it, something like that. I can't think of anything that already exists.
Okay.
Unless there is something in the schools, like you said, that we don't know about that is already happening.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought is if we build it, they will come. You know, we have to build it.
Well, one thing we could be thinking about is we've started with this EV events in late summer, and we're talking about expanding it into a more energy, an energy fair kind of thing. It goes beyond just the straight EV thing to have more stuff to it. It might be worth, and Dwight's going to be looking into how we're going to, what we can possibly do with that. It would be maybe think about using that as a vehicle for, I mean, it seems to me, I mean, there's also an Earth Day thing that we could do.
There's no big science fair that we could get raise money and
I
give
love the way you
someone.
think. I didn't know that. As far as I know, there isn't.
There's nothing like that for the kids. That's so sad.
Well, I would
Well,
start
I don't
with
know what
Veep.
goes on.
I would start with Veep. If anyone's knows if there's something happening at the school level, they should.
Like we could, the winner gets, $1,000 towards their college. It's just, I don't know. It feels like an opportunity there or something. I mean, I know so how many people live in Underhill?
About 3,000.
Okay. So it's small, but
It's quite small.
Yeah.
Well, if you're talking a school thing, though, now you're talking 5 towns, right? So you do expand the area. And that actually might be a thing that we could work on with other groups like Jericho, I think there is a natural overlap with some of the other committees because they will converge on MMU, right? Or some of the middle schools as well.
Oh, yeah.
So MMU is?
The high school, the regional high school. So it's 5 towns.
That's
I'll
Mount
go to
Mansfield.
that high school. So Jericho, Underhill, Richmond, Bolton, and
so that should be
Huntington.
Yeah. So that's something we should talk about with Jericho, potentially.
And I know, for example, a few years ago, Richmond did an art contest and had students and other people create art, and they had a big event where there were prizes given out for the best art, and the art was just displayed in town hall, and there was a lot of stuff done with that. There was actually a book done up about it that I have here somewhere. So I mean, that something like that might be a possibility. It would take a certain amount of gearing up to do it, but it certainly has the possibility of doing something like that, and that would definitely be worth doing in a larger, having an overlap on that.
Yeah, so there's like a solar fair that happens. I think it's like a festival that is 100% powered by solar energy that happens in Vermont. So that's something, we could potentially go to and research. I forget what it's called. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Solarfest. It was in Brandon this year. I think it was in Brandon. I did not know. It was down near Rutland somewhere, and I did not go. I had been thinking about going, but I wasn't able to get there. It was offline for a number of years, and then then it got washed out in a big flood, and they came back for, I think, a one-day thing or something like that. Later in the season, later in the year, instead of like July, August, they came back in September, I think, or maybe even October. But so Solarfest, and they do seem to be wanting to come back every year. So, Lori, maybe you and I should again get together and put our heads together when we talk with Catherine about some of this stuff, and see if there's anything we can, suggest to the group. If you could follow up with Veep, that would be great.
Sure.
Everything's landing on Lori now. Boy, I'll tell you, what did we do without her? How have we gotten by?
I do need their contact information though.
Yeah, Robbie will get you that.
Okay. So it's RBC. So yeah, I guess beyond that, the only other thing that I kind of had, I think are we at the end of the agenda?
Yep.
We're adjourning it. So we're the only other thing that Michael and I chatted about too, which I'm like really, really interested in, is definitely one of my big interests, is just having a community garden. And I think if we kind of expand the umbrella of what the community is and its mission statement would probably fit well with that. But yeah, I think, that's something that I'm really interested in. And
I think you get a lot of people interested in that.
oh, great. You think so?
I
Yeah,
think
I
so,
know.
potentially. I don't know how the logistics would work and where it would
Yeah.
go, and
Mhm.
but I feel like there would be a fair number of people that would be interested in at least thinking about it or trying to plan it.
Awesome. That's good to
Lori,
hear.
there was John, I forget John's last name, and his wife Barbie, they kind of, and John Connell, they spearheaded some fruit trees at Town Pond, just to kind of give you some context here. And there was a lot of support and community involvement with that
Yeah.
effort. Some
Yeah.
blueberry bushes and some apple trees,
And
And
they
where was
started up the food sharing as well. That little
and
food sharing shed down on the down by Moore Park. It's
yeah,
Where
John
was
Coyer, John and Barbie Coyer, and John
that's
Connell.
it. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, yeah, those would
that?
be
Town
great
Park?
people to
At
talk
Moore
to.
Park.
What's that?
I got a bail.
Okay, Jerry, we all got a bail here pretty quick. It's at Moore Park.
Okay, great. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Okay. I just want to mention we should put on here about the joint stuff on the agenda items for next meeting. Possible joint activities with Jericho and
Yeah, Michael, I
so.
can send you like a summary of action items.
Yep, looks like it's all there.
Yeah, I can send you a summary though of like what I kind of caught, and that would work. That would help me out because then if I missed anything, you
Great.
could let me know, and
Sounds great.
I can keep track of them too as well. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay,
Great.
it is 7:02, everyone. Are we ready to hang up our spurs? Like I said, I'm sorry I will not be with you next time, but I'll try to work on some stuff with Dwight. Sounds like Lori and I have some work to do, and we've all got, and thinking about things for the town meeting. That's very important. So that said, are we all set?
Yep.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn. It's John. Poison.
I second that.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? No, there's no discussion on this one. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye, I'm ready to go. Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.